So we have to realize that we have to undo those thoughts, because a lot of times people get trapped into these thought patterns. And for me at that time, and I'll share some stuff about, kind of the period that I was going through. But this was the time that I had just left home and going for university. And I was on my own at the time, and my family, I had some friends, right? But family wise, like, I was on my own. And during that time, it's like you're in a new country, a new culture, and a new environment. This was like my first time leaving home, and this for like experience for like an extended period of time. But this experience led me to explore, to understand, okay, what is this thing that I'm getting myself into? And you have ideas of what life is going to be. You have ideas. You have things that you assume, you anticipate, but you don't really know, right? And when you get here, right, when you get to, let's say, university, or anything like that, you have to learn a different culture. You have to learn, you're going to school, but you're learning a different culture. You're learning how different systems work. You're learning new things altogether, and finding ways how you can integrate yourself into society and into the culture. And for me at that time, like, just the person that I am, I don't know, like, if this was something that I just had even since I was growing up, where, like, okay, I enjoy business, right? So I was I was really into business, and then I got started with the business. Oh, oh. And then I got started with the business, and this was, yeah, just like within 2 years that I had arrived and started college. And during that time, when I started the business, it was a period where my uh, one of my grandparents passed away, and I was away. I was on my own again, and my business also failed the first year. It failed terribly, 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 terribly. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. And how I even started that business involved a lot of roadblocks, where you're trying to do certain deals, but it doesn't work out the way that you thought that it was going to work out. And you deal with like certain characters, as you're doing business, and you're learning, right? You're learning, but you get burnt in the learning process. And you're going through a grieving process. In school, you've got like projects, you've got assignments, and you've got, like, people that you're employing. You're trying to get them paid, you're trying to get them to get you business, generate business. All of these things happening at the same time and just piling up. And I think at that time, I think, yeah, because at that time, like, there was a time, and the place that I was in, like, it was very cold. So the winters would be like gray winters. So it was just like, there's the gloom that you see outside, just the weather, no sun, no nothing, right? So, and this was a change for me, a big change. And one of the things that I faced was that, during that period, there's no sun. I felt like there was the cloud that was over me. There's like the literal cloud, but then there was still like a sort of like a cloud that was just clouding my mind, clouding my brain at that time. And it was like, I don't know, like, I would sleep, I'd wake up, and that cloud would be there. It would be just there. Like, it was just this thing. Like, it was hard for me to think about a lot of things outside of that. And part of me realized that I just knew it inside. Like, I would pray, I would go to church, and that time, it's like you had the period. I mean, the first year, like, I was, doing the normal, like, freshman um activities, right? You go out to these socials and stuff like that. Like, that was normal. And it was even hard for me to have a relationship during that time. Like, I knew for myself, I was like, I'm not going to have a relationship during this period. Like, I just knew that I wasn't going to be like the best version. And so I didn't really like get involved with any girl at the time. and I'll go on dates, talk to them, to talk to the girls and stuff, and sort of like court the girls. But I I also realized that I couldn't pursue something further beyond that point because I also knew that I had stuff that I was working on personally. And so I went through like this, this whole period. But with that, like there's certain things that I realize, and like I always like um enjoyed reading books, and I would read books on personal development, success, right? So, and business, and those things were things that also helped me stay anchored. And I'll admit, like during that time, like I didn't read my Bibles much, but I would have like the Sunday verses, read on Sunday, go to church, and during the week you still have to study. So there's a lot of stuff to read, and naturally, like I gravitated towards like just the business side, and I'd read business books, reading business books, and I still understood like, okay, like this is good, this is fine, right? But and they would always say like write your goals, right? In most personal health books, they'll say like write your goals, write your goals, write your goals. And then I'm like, okay, write your goals, write your goals. Okay, I start writing things down. Okay. And then as I write things down, you read some of these business books, they tell you, okay, like you have to have like a vision, you have to have a mission. And, you start sort of putting pieces together. Like, okay, but what's my vision? What's a vision? Right? What's a mission? What's the difference? Because you'd hear people saying, okay, you have to have a vision statement, you have to have a mission statement, right? Like in terms of like business. But, these things, like I think, I can't remember like who it was, but it's like a common thing, excuse me, was just writing things down. That was the most common thing. Just write it down, write it down. And it naturally, like even like from school, like how you'd go to school, you'd study, you write your notes, you write your notes. And so like that made sense. It's like, okay, write things down. But there was a point where I, for whatever reason, I can't say like I read it somewhere specifically, but there was just a point where I just started writing in one of these journals. Like I just started writing, just writing, right? I didn't plan like what I was gonna write. I didn't plan anything. Nothing. Like I just started writing, just writing words on paper, right? Just writing, 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 right? Whether the sentences made sense or not, I didn't care. Right, whether because I don't, most of the stuff I haven't even gone back to read them, except for my goals and stuff that I am like, okay, these are the things that I'm holding on to. But it took me, for me to get there, it took me writing nonsense. Like I was just writing nonsense, I think, in my mind. Maybe if I read it, maybe it might make sense. Maybe I don't even remember what I was writing about. But the point was, I just started writing things down. And by writing things down, it's very hard to write a nonsense statement when you're just journaling. It's very hard. But I was just writing the things that were on my mind, and the things that were like that I was, feeling at the time, just writing it down. Just yeah, just sentence by sentence. I didn't organize the thoughts to say, okay, this belongs here, this belongs there. Like I didn't write anything down. And through writing all of that down, right, a lot of things started just coming up consistently, the thoughts that were like very persistent, right? Because if I write today, then I write the next day, and then I write the next day, and then I'll start seeing like, okay, what is the most consistent thought that's coming up? Okay, so now I'm now becoming more aware of the things that are going on in my mind and the stories that I keep saying and keep writing down. Like, okay, what's bothering me, right? I would want to write the things that are bothering me, and then from there I'll be like, okay, but why is it bothering me? And then I start asking myself questions, right, as I'm writing, like, why is this thing bothering me? When did it start? Who's involved? Like, what is going on? So you start getting down to the root cause to see, like, okay, where is this coming from? So this process, like I started doing it, like it just took me time, to be honest. But The moments I did that, or the days that I did that, I was able to move into my day with more clarity and to actually start doing things without really overthinking things and being stuck in my head. And slowly that cloud just started lifting. It just started lifting. And, I would look forward to like Sundays, go to church, and I would pray, I would, worship, go back and prepare for the week. You pray, you play your praise and worship, the whole day, or even you're in the car, like you're just playing like praise and worship and just reading books. So I spend a lot of time reading a lot of books. Like my library for like books is just a lot, right? Like I stopped reading other books just from like other people and just like reading the Bible. Now the only book that I read is the Bible because I've also taken time to really see some of the things that these people write and what some of them actually believe in. Where I'm like, I actually don't believe in that same thing as you, right? So I've also now taken the time to like pull back on the types of books that I also read because I realize that some of the books and some of these people who are like telling you, oh, this is what you need to do to be successful, some of the things I didn't agree with, and I'm like, okay, this is good to know that some people believe in this and it really shows in the world. And for some people you're like, no, I'm going to stay away from this. And then for some people you're like, oh, this person actually says something that aligns with scripture, so everything now I just test it with scripture before I start getting into like, okay, what are they talking about. And that was a thing that I started doing. But